All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce for our weekly webinar. As always, if you need to leave a little bit early or you're coming a little bit late, these webinars are recorded and they will be posted on Facebook, on the Chamber's YouTube page, and on our website underneath the webinars tab. We're super excited to have Ben Fagan here today, and please note again that he will be here at the end of this to answer any questions you might have. So Ben is a local in the South Florida community, originally from Lake Worth, me as well. He played college baseball at Lynn University for 4 years, where he earned his bachelor's degree in multimedia journalism and his master's degree in digital media. On the baseball field, Ben developed a practice that would allow him to perform at his highest level. He continues to apply these same lessons far beyond the game through his work with Palm Beach County schools, various professional and community organizations and individuals, as well as professional athletes. His philosophy of adjusting how we see our situations to put ourselves in the best position to win is the central theme of his talks, as well as his new book, Flipping the Switch, How to Redefine Success to Find True Fulfillment, which is what you guys are all here to listen to him talk about today. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Ben. This should be quite an interesting presentation, and I'm sure you guys are gonna wanna stay till the end to ask him any questions you might have.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and going to go ahead and screen to give everyone some visuals to look at, and so we can have a good time and enjoy everything here today. So so I appreciate the introduction, and I'm really excited to be here today and get to speak with you guys virtually. I'm sure like everyone out there misses the in-person feel and dynamics of everything, but this is what technology is for, and I'm super excited about that. And it's always extra fun to be able to come and speak with the local community and to hear and talk to everybody around this area, whether it's Delray, Boynton Beach, the South Florida area. It's always extra exciting for me to get to come in and speak with groups of people like this. So I'm excited to be here and ready to rock and roll. Like Angel said, these were lessons that I learned through playing college baseball. Growing up, I really, like so many other young boys getting into baseball, I really wanted to play professional baseball, and I got the opportunity to pursue that career and further that career at Lynn University, where education for me was always important. I was raised like that in my family. Still, college for me was a lot more of a stepping stone to get to the next level. And Lynn provided that opportunity to learn so much, both academically, baseball, social-wise. It was just an absolutely great, amazing experience. And I want to share with you guys one of my favorite stories, and this is the story of my greatest at-bat ever. Now, this came in the very last game of my college baseball career. So it was my senior year, the last day, and unfortunately, Lynn and Palm Beach Atlantic, who was our opponent that game, both knocked out of the playoffs. We didn't win enough games, and as sports go, if you don't win enough, you don't get in the playoffs. And so that was our situation. And while that sucked and that was disappointing, I think in a lot of ways it helped me, because it helped me stay grounded in that moment. There was no tomorrow. There was no other opportunities for me to look towards in the baseball realm. I had to be present in this moment and leave it all on the field, as they say. So I think in a lot of ways that helped me, that we were knocked out of the playoffs, trying to turn lemons into lemonade. But other than that, the game was awesome. It was a beautiful day. I started the game at shortstop, and I was just feeling good. And throughout, I was having these flash baseball with my older brother Jake in the backyard. And this was another thing that helped me stay grounded in the moment, because these are some of my fondest memories, and that's where I really got started playing the game of baseball. And so it was kind of like everything coming full circle, my life flashing before my eyes, but in the best way. And so I was just taking in the sights and sounds, standing out there, feeling the sun. It was awesome. And as the game progressed, it was winding down. I came up for what was going to be my final at bat in the 8th inning. And so I dig in, I'm standing there, ready for the pitch. The pitcher winds, throws the ball, boom. And I take a fastball and get a hit through the left side of the infield. And I reach first base and I'm feeling good. I got a hit in my last at bat. At least I can go out feeling like I'm on top. I dust the shoulders off, give my coach a high five, and then the inning progresses. I can ride off into the sunset with a hit in my last college at bat. So that was a really cool moment. We don't end up scoring any more runs, although a few of my teammates got on base, but the score remained 6-4. We were down 2 runs going into the top of the 9th. So I go back out on defense, again, just being at another level of peace that I really was never at any other point in my baseball career. And we were able to hold Palm Beach Atlantic. So the score still remains 6-4 going into the bottom of the 9th. This was our last at bat. We had to put together at least 2 runs, hopefully 3 runs, with a little rally, and we could win the game, win the final game of the season. And so I just hit the inning before, so I get back in the dugout, look up at the scoreboard, look over to the lineup card, and kind of go into fan mode. Like I said, I just hit, so I want to cheer on my teammates. Hopefully we could put together a little rally. And sure enough, that's what we do. I remember I'm standing there on the dugout railing, and a couple guys get on. We end up scoring a run. We cut the lead in half. Now the score is 6-5. I look over at the lineup card one more time, and my spot's coming up again. And so I quickly have to transition from being in fan mode and cheering on my teammates back into player mode. So I grab my helmet, get my bat, and I walk out on deck. My teammate in front of me ends up popping up, and so that means the game's up to me. I'm walking up to the plate, bottom of the 9th, down 1 run, 2 outs, runners on base. Everything is boiling up into this moment. And this is the moment every athlete dreams of, every kid dreams of. This is what you practice in the backyard. And this is exactly the situations that I was in when I would play baseball in the backyard with my older brother, Jake. So like I said at the beginning, it helped put me at peace even more. And so I was walking up there, and I had this supreme level of confidence. I was getting my timing on deck, and I wasn't cocky, but I was very confident. And that was something that I didn't always have throughout my entire baseball career. But I was walking up there, and before I dug in, I did a few things throughout this at-bat that I didn't always do. I took a deep, I usually did that, and I need to breathe, but I took a deep breath, and I gave a little head nod over to my coach in the first base dugout. That really spoke to him. I knew I was speaking his language because he's a Southern California guy, so the head nod really, really got to him. And so he gave me one back, clapped his hands, and we were speaking the same language. I told him, sit back, relax, I got this. We're going to win this game. And that was that level of confidence that I had throughout that at-bat. And so I dig in, the pitcher comes set, and he throws a fastball. I load back and take a swing, boom! And I foul it straight back. And you can hear the energy around the ballpark from Palm Beach Atlantic's dugout, from our dugout, Lynn's dugout, all the people around the stands in the field, the broadcasters right behind home plate. You can feel it. You can really feel the breath in the air, what's going to happen in this at-bat, this defining moment in this game. And so I dig back in, and I go to work, take a couple pitches close, foul a couple more off, and I work the count full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs, down by 1. Again, it's culminating into the moment everyone dreams of. And so something really interesting happened. This was something I never did in my baseball career. As I stepped out before I went in, took another breath, and I looked over to the right field stands, where I was so fortunate to have my parents come every home game, because I'm, don't live too far from Lynn, about 20-30 minutes. So they were able to come to every home game, and I was so fortunate to have that support. And so although they're not from Southern California, I gave them a little head nod too, a little tip of the cap. And that was for me to tell them thank you. I wanted to share this moment with them, and I wanted them to know that I was thankful and so grateful they've done for me up until this point. And this was a special moment for me, and I wanted to share it with them. So that was my way of doing that. And so being fully at peace, I take the step back in the box and I dig in. It's all coming down to this one pitch. And I know throughout the at-bat and throughout what this pitcher did to my teammates, he had to throw me a fastball here. It was his last game. It was my last game. It was the last pitch of the season. He was going to challenge me with a fastball, and I knew I was going to hit it. We were going to win this game. So he comes set. He delivers. Sure enough, it's a fastball. And I load up, and my eyes light up, and the ball's looking huge. And I take the best swing of my life. Boom! And it hits the catcher's mitt. Strike three. Inning over. Game over. My college baseball career over. Now, I just lost the game, and I'm walking back to the dugout and nothing but hugs and supports from my teammates, which I'm super grateful for. And as I'm walking back, there was this picture of me taken. And it has since become one of my favorite pictures. Moments after I just lost, I just failed, I just struck out, you see a pure and genuine smile on my face. Moment when this picture was taken, baseball was over for me. I wasn't going to play professionally. I was done with college. There was no more baseball in my future. And I just lost the game. I failed. I struck out, and I was able to walk away with a pure and genuine smile on my face. And the reason why this picture means so much to me is because in that moment, I was able to become the player I had always wanted to become. I was working towards this feeling that I was able to get in that moment. I was able to redefine what success meant to me to find true fulfillment. And that's the story that I really like to share to start things off, because it contextualizes everything that I want to talk with you guys about today. Because I wasn't able to get to this moment, able to achieve this feeling of fulfillment overnight. This didn't happen at the start of the game. This didn't happen when I woke up that day. This was years and years and years of practice, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, you name it, working towards this idea of becoming the very best player I could possibly become, and redefining what success meant for me, and changing that from external goals, external affirmations and validations to bringing it internally and becoming the best version of me. And so now that I was done with baseball, since I was done, I looked back on my career and thought about what were the main things that helped me get to those points. And I've settled on 4 main things that helped me arrive to find that sense of fulfillment and become the player that I wanted to become. And the exciting thing about these ideas is you don't have to be an athlete. And that's something that I stress so much every time I speak. I talked about it in the book. With these ideas and these concepts, they're great if you're an athlete. You can absolutely apply them if you're a baseball player, whatever you do, but it's far from limited to having to be an athlete. And that's exciting, because I'm done playing baseball and I still use these lessons every single day in my life. And I'm excited to share them with you, so we can help you apply them to whatever it is that you guys are trying to do and whatever it is that you want out of your life. So one of the big things for me is I had to develop a better relationship with my junior year. For me in college was really tough, very much so mentally, and I didn't handle that year well mentally at all. And I'll be the first one to say that, because I came into feeling big, fast, strong, and I played well in the fall season, which is like our spring training essentially, which is the preseason. And then once the real season rolled around, I was in line for the starting position at third base. And I was feeling good about myself, and I was an upperclassman. This was my time to really come into my own as a baseball player, as a college athlete, and develop, hopefully get the opportunity to play professionally. And so opening day rolls around, and I look over at the lineup card, and my name's just not there. And leading up, I had felt that I'd done everything in my power. I was controlling everything I could to get to that point, to put me in that position to start and to be successful. But my name still wasn't there. Whether I played or not wasn't in my control. But I didn't understand that, and it didn't really frustrate me too much at the beginning of the season, because in college we play a ton of games. We play 50, 55 games, hopefully more if we get to the postseason. So I knew it was a long season, no need to panic. But then the first week comes to a close. The second week, the third week, conference opens up. We're a few months into the season, and I'm just not playing as much as I'd wanted to, or I hoped I would, or I thought I should. And so this level of frustration begins to set in. And I feel like no matter what we do, we've all experienced moments like this where we felt like we were doing everything we should have, and we weren't getting what we were told we were going to get. And that's how I was feeling. And like I said, I didn't handle it well mentally, so I allowed myself to spiral out of control. And because of that, by the season's end, I was done. I was toast. I was fried. I wanted nothing to do with baseball. Now, I never wanted to quit. I never thought about quitting. I definitely wanted to finish what I'd started, but I still needed to take a step back from the game, kind of refresh myself and reconnect with why I started playing baseball in the first place. And I thought about this a lot, and I tried to have, these moments of introspection where I was thinking, why do I play baseball in the first place? Why is it so meaningful for me? And it was easy. It was an easy answer for me because baseball is so much fun. I loved playing the game. And so that was what I wanted to reconnect with. And I remember that summer going into my senior year, the summer after my junior year, I had a lot of phone calls with one of my closest friends on the team and one of my best friends still today, Rigo Beltran. And he was a pitcher on the team, and he had just gotten drafted by the Seattle Mariners. So he was playing his first year of professional ball over in Arizona. And so that summer we would talk a lot on the phone, and we would talk about, our goals, our ambitions, just our day-to-day lives, because we were such good friends. And I remember this one phone call specifically, very vividly, where he says, "Ben, what do you want out of your senior year? What do you want to accomplish?" And I told him I had thought about this. And so I confidently said, Rigo, I got it. I've thought about this. I know how it went my junior year. I was after the wrong things. I was after things that were out of my control. All I want to do is simplify things. All I want to do is have fun. Great goal, right? Nice and simple. Hey, man, just set out and have fun. And so I was excited for his response. And he said, "Ben, that is a terrible goal." I'm thinking, a terrible goal. First of all, Rigo's supposed to be my guy. You're supposed to be my guy. You're supposed to have my back, and you're telling me my goals are terrible goals. And so I said, "What do you mean it's a terrible goal?" He says, "Ben, I want that for you too. Trust me, I want you to have fun. But the reason why it's a terrible goal is you can't measure it. You can't grasp it. You can't say, oh, great, you had 6 feet of fun. Or today was pretty bad, you only had 2 pounds of fun. You can't quantify fun. Fun isn't tangible. Fun isn't tangible." And he said that, and I thought, he's right. Fun isn't tangible. Having fun is a result of a tangible goal. And so that was the first step into me developing a better relationship with my goals, is I needed to make them tangible. I needed to make them something that I could measure. So I looked back at my career. If I wanted to do things that would result in me having fun, let me take a look back at the times in my career where I was having the most fun. It makes logical sense. And so that's exactly what I did. Is no matter where I was, no matter how old I was, no matter who my teammates were, my coaches were, the times in my baseball career where I was having the most fun were the times where I was playing the best. I think as people, we're naturally gravitated towards the things that we're good at. And that's an okay thing to do. That shouldn't discourage you from trying new things or working on things that you're not good at. But I think in human nature, we are drawn to the things that we're good at. And so I looked at the times in my career where I was enjoying myself the most and I was playing my best. And so that became my new goal, is I wanted to become the most consistently great baseball player that I could possibly become. Now, I worded that very intentionally. I didn't just want to say I wanted to become more consistent, because I could be consistently bad, and that's not what we want. And I didn't want to just say, hey, I want to be a great baseball player, because first of all, what does that mean? Great to whose standards? And I felt that I already was able to perform at a high level because I was playing in college. I was playing in a good program, and I was competing when I did play. But the problem was I wasn't doing that all the time. I would play well sometimes, and I would play very poorly other times. And so I needed to marry the two. I needed to become consistently great. And not consistently great to anyone else's standards, but I needed to become the most consistently great baseball player I could become. Not my teammates, not what my coaches thought, what I thought. I needed to become the most consistently great baseball player I could become. And the reason why that was a tangible goal is because there was a plan that I could put in place that I want to talk about later that I could work towards every single day that would help me achieve that goal. So I needed to become consistently great with my hitting. So I could develop drills that help me develop a consistently great swing. I could develop drills that would help me become a consistently great fielder in the infield. And I could work on these drills every single day, and I could measure my progress with them. Let's say I had 4 at-bats. I don't measure how many hits I got, that's a result, but I measure how many times out of those 4 at-bats did I put together good competitive at-bats. And I could say I did 0 today, I did 4 today, and I could measure my progress and see the adjustments that I needed to make. Same thing with fielding. Every time I got a ball, threw it to the guy, did I hit him in the chest? Was the throw over here? How many chances did I have? How many times did I make the play and have an accurate throw? And so these were things that I could work on that made my goals tangible. And that really was the first step in me developing a better relationship with my goals. Now, the next step with that in that process was to build a corner. Now, what I mean by this, and if you're familiar with the sport of boxing in any capacity, you already understand what the corner is all about. So when 2 boxers are going at it and the bell rings to end the round, where do they go? They go to their corner. And what's happening in their corner? They're getting massaged, getting coached up, getting teeth put back in, blood wiped off their face, all for the purposes of what? To get sent back out into the ring to fight some more. Their corner is their support system. And while you may not be a boxer, I'm definitely not a boxer, we still need to have these corners in our lives. We still need to have that same level of support in our lives. Now, our corner can definitely be made up of a coach, a mentor, a teacher, stuff. It can be made up of your sons, your daughters, family members, your parents, aunts, uncles, like I said, coworkers, bosses. It can be made up of just about anyone, as long as they have your best interest in mind. They love you, they support you, and they hold you accountable just as you hold yourself accountable. And so, again, the corner can be anyone, and it can be made up of 100 people, or it can be made up of just one. What's important is that you have somebody there, because on the journey for our goals, we have these ups and downs, we experience trials and tribulations, and we don't have to do it alone. We may feel like we do, but we should develop a corner and have people there to help us on our journey, to wipe the blood off of our face, to give us water, to give us massages, coach us up, and send us back to fight some more. And so that was the next big thing for me to develop a better relationship with goals, and the next big thing that you can do to help you develop better relationships with your goals as well. And the last thing here, and I left it for last with this, is taking pride in your progress. And this is something that doesn't happen a lot, and it needs to happen more with each and every one of us. And I'll give you an example. One summer, I remember that my goal was to gain 10 pounds of muscle. I remember I was a young growing boy, and I was in college, so this was a very plausible, probable goal to have. It was a very realistic goal. So I get my base weight at the beginning of the summer, step on the scale, 200 pounds. This is the perfect starting point. And now I did a lot of research before I started training on what to eat, what to drink, how to eat it, how to drink it, how to train, where to train, how often to train, how to recover, where to sleep, everything you could possibly imagine. I looked up, I researched, and made a plan to put in place to work on every single day to get to my goal and to achieve my goal of gaining 10 pounds of muscle. I wanted to become bigger, faster, and stronger. And so that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I set out to do that summer. That's exactly what I did. And so as the summer progressed, I remember feeling the physical changes and seeing the physical changes. I felt more confident. I was getting bigger. I was getting faster. I was getting stronger. And I just felt better. My plan was working. And so by the end of the summer, before I went back to school, excited as could be, I step on the scale. I look down, and I step off one more time because it said 205, and I know there's no way that it could be 205. I did everything I should have done. But I step back on the scale, and it says 205 again. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm thinking, how could it say 205? I did everything I was told to do that I should have done to achieve this goal, and I'm 5 pounds short? There's no way. And now I want to ask you a question, and just think about it for yourselves and answer it, in your own heads. Would you consider that to be a failure? Did I fail? Maybe, maybe not. But when I ask that question, the most common response is, no, Ben, you didn't. You didn't fail. You're that much closer to your goal. You should be proud of yourself. You should be proud of your progress. And that is the exact right response, and the response that I hope every one of you all who are listening right now had in your head. You thought that, hey, Ben, no, you didn't get your goal. That's right. But you're that much closer to your goal. You should be proud of that. And like I said, right attitude to have, but the problem is we give that benefit of the doubt to other people and we never give it to ourselves. And that's what I want to share with you guys today, and really encourage you all, is to take pride in your progress and understand whether it's a huge giant leap forward or a baby small step forward. Anytime you're moving forward, it's the right direction. You should be proud. And it's also difficult, and I'll touch on this later, that we feel like we have to compare ourselves to everyone around us, but understand that your progress, again, whether huge step forward or huge steps forward or baby steps forward, is still progress and something that you should really, really be proud of. And so the next big thing, and I hope we're all sticking with me right here and understanding, I would that you guys have, at the end of this. But the next big thing for me was, after developing a better relationship with my goals, I needed to take better control of where I was allowing my focus to go. And I say allowing because everyone here, we are always in control of where our focus goes. And it's so important to understand that nobody causes you to have a bad day. You subconsciously or consciously give them permission for their words or their actions to affect you. And we'll touch more on that. But I have a question first. Who here wants to be at their best every single day? Again, we're not together. Answer it in your head. I'm sure there's a lot of hands up. I want to, and that's just a natural human desire. And so we all want to be at our best every single day, or most of us want to be at our best every single day. But out of 365 days in the year, who has been at their best all 365 days? Probably not. Probably no one. And the reason behind that is it's just about impossible to be at your best every single day. And that's okay. But what happens is when we wake up and we have an important meeting or a big presentation or an interview or a performance, whatever it may be, and we don't feel at our best, we feel a lot more anxiety, we feel stress, and we feel pressure. Because we're not at our best, we don't know what to do. That's out of our control. Because the simple fact of the matter is, life happens, and we can do everything right. We can get the right amount of sleep. We can eat the right food. We can exercise daily, and we can still wake up the next day not feeling good. We could still get to the office and not feel good. And that puts a lot of pressure on ourselves that doesn't need to be there. This pressure doesn't have to exist in our lives. So how can we reframe and how can we refocus to remove this pressure and have a better quality of life? Well, rather than focusing on trying to be at our best every single day, we can focus on improving as the day goes on. What that allows you to do right out of the gate is it takes that pressure away from you. It takes that pressure of how you woke up feeling that day out of your life. It takes that pressure away of how you came to the office, how you came to your job, how you came to the interview, the performance, whatever it may be. It removes that pressure because you know that by day's end, you will have improved. And if you can do that day after day after day, week after week, it builds this cycle of confidence. You're finishing each and every single day better than you started. You're naturally going to become more confident. And confidence breeds success. And we all want success. That's what we're all here for. We want to be successful in the things that we do every single day. And so rather than focusing so much on being at our best every single day, which is out of our control in a lot of instances, let's focus on something that's in our control, and that's improving as the day goes on. And here's another one that I touched on briefly, and it's understanding the difference between, again, with where our focus goes, the difference between bad days and bad moments. And I have an illustration here, and just for argument's sake, let's say this represents the stock market, just so it's easy for everyone to understand. And we don't have to get too much into the nitty-gritty of the numbers of it. I was a journalism major, a creative guy. I'm not a big math person, but this represents the stock market. And you have chart A and chart B. Just by looking at these charts, which chart would you say is better? Which chart would you prefer to see? Again, my guess without hearing your responses is chart B. It would be my answer too. Why not chart A? Well, chart A is plummeting straight down. And when it comes to the stock market, we don't like to see that. But chart B, although it has its ups and downs, is still trending in the right direction. And that's a pretty good sign. And so different charts, but what's really unique and cool about them is they actually represent the same thing, and they're not so different after all. Now, what I mean by that is chart A and chart B are, in fact, the exact same chart. Chart A is just a zoomed in, magnified version of one of chart B's dips. So what chart A represents, actually, it's not the stock market, it's our lives, surprise. Actually represents is a bad moment in chart B's day. And so this is what happens when you get cut off on I-95 driving to work, or you're stuck in traffic, or you hear some news, or somebody says something to you that really upsets you. Oh man, that ruined my day. She ruined my day. He ruined my day. That car that cut me off ruined my day. We've all been there. I've been there. Everyone's been there, where we fall into that trap of allowing a single moment to overcome and totally take our entire day away from us. And so when we experience a bad moment and live the rest of our lives and the rest of our days through chart A's lens, you can see we feel like we're plummeting straight into the ground. But when we take this step back, see the bigger picture, we can see what just happened for what it is, a bad moment. It's not a bad day. And overall, we're still trending in the right direction. And I think that's such an important thing to refocus on and shift our focus to understanding that there are no more bad days. There's no such thing as a bad day, only bad moments. And we choose and we are responsible for how we react and respond to them. And so this is one of my favorite visuals because it really puts it into perspective. And sure, if, I hope if you're into stocks, then it really spoke to you on another level as well. Now, the third big pillar for me, so to speak, was developing a process. And if you're a sports fan, then you hear this term thrown around a ton. And even if you're not, you might have heard it, from a boss, an employee, you might have said it yourself. Trust your process, trust the process. And I personally think that's great advice. It's amazing advice, except for the fact that nobody knows what the process is and how to develop one, how to build one, let alone how to trust one. And so first, before we even talk anymore about what the process is, we have to understand, how to trust the process. We have to understand what the process is. And what the process is essentially, it's your answer key. It is your game plan that you can implement every single day to help you reach your goals. And what I mean by your answer key is it gives you a reason for success. It's because, hey, I'm doing this every single day. That's why I'm successful. So you don't have to look for answers as to where the success is coming from. The other side of the stick, it helps you. It's a security net for when things go bad, when you're struggling. Hey, I'm falling on tough times right now. But if I keep sticking with my game plan, which is your process, your things that you can implement every single day to help you achieve your goals, and you will reach your goals. You will get to where you want to go. So it gives you a reason for why you're being successful, because that happens a lot as we experience success and we don't know why, so it's difficult to replicate it. Your process is your answer key. It's your formula, your blueprint to replicate that positive. And it is your answer key and your safety net, your harness to help you when you struggle in tough times, in bad times. And the exciting thing about the process is it helps create a greater level of peace in your life. Now, what I mean by that is it helps to quiet the noise. Now, if you're a movie junkie, if you've seen the movie, pop culture at all, you know this is from the movie The Matrix. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry, I'll explain. And so what's happening in the scene is the character Neo is getting shot at down this hallway, just pop, 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 pop. Bullets are flying at him. Cool as could be, holds his hand up. Checking the time, no big deal. Holds his hand up, and what happens to the bullets? They freeze in front of his face in midair, frozen. And then what he does next is he takes his two fingers, grabs one out of the air, drops it to the ground. All of the rest of the bullets fall. And so what he did in that moment was he disarmed the very thing that was going to take his life. And it did him no harm. He held the very thing that was going to kill him in his fingers, disarmed it, and realized that it can no longer do him harm. And so in our lives, hopefully never, ever real bullets are flying at us, but we have the form of noise. What is noise? Noise can be stuff we hear on the news, stuff we hear from our bosses, our employees, our friends, our family members, judgment, stuff on social media. That's noise, and it gets really loud, especially today where 24-hour news, 24/7 social media, and we feel like there's no escape. And that's what the noise is external expectations, external judgments. And it can become very difficult and draining when we feel like we have to block it out. We've all heard, block out the haters. When we feel like we have to block out the noise, that takes a lot of energy away from us. And that's, again, energy that we don't need to be spending and we could be putting into another more important area of our lives. And so what happens when we hear noise is we don't have to try to eliminate it and pretend like it doesn't exist, because it does exist. But what we can do is, just like Neo did, put our hands up, either literally or metaphorically, that's up to you. Put your hands up, stop the bullets, disarm them. So when you get upsetting news, upsetting advice, when somebody says something that doesn't sit well with you, you can understand that, hey, their words can do me no harm. Their action can do me no harm, right? You disarm the very thing that was going to upset you and perhaps kill you, your quality of life. You hold it in your hands, you acknowledge it, and realize that it can do you no harm. Now, the important thing to understand here is that it doesn't eliminate everything around you. It doesn't eliminate bad news and bad moments and in tough times, but it better prepares you and allows you to live with them. And it gives you that greater level of peace. And that's so important. We all want to experience a greater level of peace in our lives. So the last thing that I want to share with you all today, before I open things up to questions, is the importance of keeping and maintaining a certain level of perspective. And this was huge for me in my college career, and something that I really try to make a point of in my everyday life, because I think it's so important. That's why I saved it for last, is having a certain level of perspective. Because, like I touched on, we live life in this 24/7 stimulus bubble of news, social media, and we feel like there's this mold of what success looks like, whether it's coming from the movies, the TV, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, your jobs, your family, whatever it is. There's this mold of success that we feel like we have to sit in, and we have to fit in, and we're looking around seeing what everyone else is doing, because we don't want to fall behind. We want to keep up with everyone. We don't want to be the last one through the door, right? And so what happens is we're looking, like the old adage says, looking at our neighbor's grass and saying, hey, that grass is greener, without even taking a look down and check our own grass. I promise you, when you do that, and this ties in with taking pride in your progress and who you are, when you take the time to look down, you'll see that your grass is beautiful. It's full of life. It's so green, and it's right where you should be. And it's so important to take the time and enjoy the grass you stand on. And the last thing that I want to say before I finish up here is, no matter, especially today, especially with everything that's going on today, no matter what position you're in, no matter who you are, where you are, what your job is, we're always, always, always in a position to help others and to give back. And that's an exciting thing, and a piece of perspective that I hope we can all take away and always maintain. So thank you guys so much. I hope this was valuable, and I'm really excited to hear any questions you may have.
Perfect. I was about to kick you off your screen share, but you beat me to it. So I have to say, you are super motivational. I feel very empowered after listening to you talk, which is great. If anybody who's watching has a question, please feel free to put it in the Q&A. I know that we're live on Facebook, so if you have a question on Facebook, please go ahead and type it so we can ask Ben, because he's here to answer that for you. I gotta say, that story in the beginning was so great. You're a very great storyteller, and I had goosebumps when you said it hit the catcher's mitt. I was like, oh, I felt it in my heart. So that was great. It was a great way to kind of pull it in for the story. And I gotta say, I thought it was hilarious when your friend told you that it was terrible to measure your goals in fun, because I think if you don't have a concrete goal, a lot of people might use that as a fallback a little bit, oh, I'm just, having fun, taking it one day at a time. And that's a really good perspective on it, that while you want to have fun, you also want to have something that you're working towards. So I have a couple of questions here. I keep looking down because I always tend to take a little bit of notes. But what are ways we can practice controlling what we can control each day?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a question that I get asked a lot, and I think that it's super relevant to what's going on today because there's a lot of unknowns, whether it's with COVID, your jobs, whatever it may be. There's just so much stirring around the world where we can feel almost helpless. And so in these times, we have to understand what is within our control and what is out of our control. And I'll give the example, because I talked about this with my dad, who's a high school teacher in Palm Beach County, and so they're teaching online right now, and most of these teachers never taught online before, and you have this natural sense of worry of, okay, well, what if my internet goes out? What if there's bad connections? What if the students don't show up? And all of these things, they're very natural things to worry about, but none of those things are within your control. We can't control whether there's a storm that comes and knocks out your power. But what we can control is prepare, how we prepare our attitude and our effort. And this puts us in that best position to succeed. So when the power goes out, we can try to troubleshoot, we can adjust, and we can, reach out to our students when it comes back on. And that's all we can control. And so to answer the question, it's about looking into our lives and seeing what can I control, what is out of my control, and the things that are out of my control, like the weather is a great example of it, is understanding, hey, no matter what I do, I can't change that. And if you're wondering, well, what is in my control, what is out of my control, it's asking yourself that question. Can I do anything about this right now with the resources that I have? Yes, great, it's in your control, change it. No, it's not in your control, you can't change it. So you do the things that are in your control, which again, simply is, your attitude, your effort, and how you prepare in your day-to-day lives. And that helps you, again, not eliminate the uncontrollables, but better live with it.
So that is, I think, such a great example too, especially because I think a lot of us have moved to virtual things. And I know that's one of my fears when we have something big going on and I hear the rumbling outside, I basically like having a panic attack. And that's super relatable. And that's a really good way to look into that. Okay, you kind of answered this in your presentation a little bit as far as, I guess, advice for getting in that mindset. You said, what did you say? I'm trying to remember exactly what you said. But my question, I guess, and maybe you can answer it for me, is what advice would you give, or what kind of motto do you have for people that are having a hard time with really realizing that it's not about the fact that they failed, but that they've made the progress? Because I guess that was the wording you said. It's the progress that you made that you should be proud of. But I think sometimes when you're in that moment, it's hard to think that way. It really is. So do you have a motto that somebody can hold on to, or do you have like a piece of advice that you would want to give them for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm a big believer in acknowledging the human side of us humans, and that is like you touched on, of when you're in the moment, it's tough to see that. And so it's important to allow yourself to get frustrated and say, hey, I didn't reach my goal. But you have to draw a line at some point and say, hey, I can no longer be frustrated. I can't continue to live my life like this. And so just in that easy example of, me trying to gain that weight, it can be applied to anything. But yes, I missed my goal, so that's frustrating. But what you have to do is acknowledge that it's frustrating, and then understand, really buy into the fact that you did make progress and you're that much closer to it. So I guess to answer your question, what the shift in focus and perspective is understanding you're not that much further away from your goal. You're that much closer to your goal. So I didn't miss my goal by 5 pounds. I'm 5 pounds away. I'm that much closer than when I started. And so then I set out, to do it again. And I'm not starting from 200. I'm starting from 205. If I want to make money, I'm not starting from zero. I'm starting from, $100 or $200. And then after 3 months, again, 4 months, whatever your time frame is, you're either going to reach your goal or surpass it. And if you still come up a little short, you know that you're that much closer. And it's a continual journey every single day. And that's why I say it's so important to enjoy the grass you stand on, because it's so easy to look around and say, hey, well, in the same time frame, in the same environment, that person reached their goal. And you don't know what that person is doing, what they're going through, and what what the differences are. And so it's important, and that's kind of how we fall into that trap of saying, hey, I'm not good enough because they're doing it and I'm not. Versus when you can say, hey, I'm good enough because I'm doing it to my standards and I'm achieving it on my pace. And so that's kind of how I go about thinking about it, in a certain way.
Right. And I to look, I guess, at the sunny side of it, I suppose the wonderful thing about goals is that they're always evolving, they're always changing. So I guess even when you do hit that point of, okay, I hit that 200 mark, are you going to stop there or are you going to keep going? There's probably something else you're going to take and you're going to move forward
Right.
with. So it's good to remember that even if you don't hit it, I mean, you're always going to be striving for more anyways, even if you do hit your goal. So that's
Right.
I guess the pretty neat thing about them. What is your biggest tip ever? Well, I guess you kind of explained this for achieving your goals, but what would your biggest tip be for that?
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent. Like I've said it a lot, and that's probably why I've already answered it. Is about taking pride in your progress and being proud of who you are. And you said something that I do want to touch on too, that just popped into my mind, is that if you're living life just hoping to reach a goal, you're going to get there. And if you're not involved in the process to get to that point and enjoying each and every step along that journey, then you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to have that fulfillment. And that's why it feels good when you reach a goal, because it wasn't handed to you easily. So if you want to make $1 million, you can make $1 million. That's a great goal to have. But if you're not going to be satisfied until you make it, then you're going to live a poor quality of life on that journey. You're going to miss out on a lot of things. And then you're going to get there eventually. And when you do, you're going to feel empty because there's nothing there. You're always going to want something more. And so I really, my biggest piece of advice too is to and that's how I think about taking pride and enjoying the journey, is taking pride in the progress and enjoying the ups as well as the downs, because when you have the downs, it makes the ups that much more enjoyable. And so whether it's, making money, living in this house, having a better, work-life balance, whatever it is, enjoy the process in getting there, and each step, as you evolve each and every single day, because that's what makes success in the end goal meaningful, is the journey to get there.
Right. So just really enjoying that moment that you're in as you're in it. So you were talking about in the beginning in your story how you had your whole career and you kind of started having these thoughts of you felt like accomplished of where you were at. And did you feel those kind of coming in gradually, or was it just one day you had an epiphany, like right when it was that final game and you were like, did you have a moment there where you like, it doesn't matter what happens, or had you felt that building up, over time?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it was a gradual build up to that. That's I kind of referenced that it wasn't that, it just happened to be that way. And I was really focusing on that entire year of the things that I talked about today, of becoming the best version of myself. And when I was doing that, then the results meant less to me. And one of the big tipping points for me in my career was because I wanted to play professional baseball. That's all I wanted to do. And so for much of my life, everything was geared towards accomplishing that. And so I, ate, drank, slept baseball.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people do when trying to, achieve their goals. And I felt like anything that was not baseball would take away from my chances of getting there. And what I realized later in my career was that the more I allowed and it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything else in my life. When I was in college, I was an RA. I loved doing the videography, doing video editing. I did journalism. I did a lot of different things, and I had success in different areas of my life. But I wasn't as proud of them as the things on the baseball field. And so because baseball is what I wanted to do, I identified myself solely as a baseball player. And I fell into that trap of, when I did that, then if I failed on the field, I failed in real life. I failed off of the field.
Right.
And that
across your life.
Exactly. That is very, very dangerous. And my frustrations on the field began to leak into other areas of my life. Yeah. And so the change that I made was understanding that baseball is what I do. It's not who I am. And I give the example of, it's like a quilt. For so long, I only had one square in my quilt, and that was a baseball player. And that doesn't keep you warm. And that's not pretty to look at, And so when I opened my mind up and I allowed myself to enjoy the other things, it took pressure off of my performance on the field because it was just one square in my quilt. Then I had videography, I had RA, I had my social life, I had my writing, I had, my hobbies, this, that, the other. And it made this great, big, beautiful quilt that kept me warm and was much nicer to look at. And it helped me become a more well-rounded person. And so that kind of, it helped balance me out. And that's how I was better able to arrive at that sense of, hey, there's more to life than just baseball into what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people go through that. I mean, I know at least for me, if I have a bad day at work, it can sometimes bleed into my home life, but they have kind of almost nothing to do with each other. Just because, I missed something here doesn't mean my day has to be bad, for the weekend or whatever it may be. So I think a lot of people can really relate to that. So what are some questions that we can reframe what are some ways that we can reframe our situation today, specifically to COVID?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the big things that we fall into is this feeling of helplessness. And again, it's natural. And this is something that, trust me, I'm saying this, and I'm not saying this because I'm perfect at it. I'm far from perfect at it. And I try to work towards this every day, but allowing ourselves to be human and saying, hey, yes, this is frustrating, acknowledging these times. But I think what is an important practice is to make, whether it's a mental list, a physical list, whatever works for you, but make a list of all the things that are good in your life. And if you think about it, you're thinking like, okay, well, there's so much bad in the world. What can be good? What's good in my life? Well, if you're able to work from home, if you have a job, all these things, do you have a, loving, supporting family, friends, some type of system, people in your corner, think about those things, but also think about the sun shining, fresh air, good quality time with your pet or your family, little things, you enjoyed a delicious meal. And it's about doing these things because I think we often fall into this trap of feeling like we're just getting by, we're surviving. And I talk to people a lot about this is, you hear this a lot of times of, hey, how are you? I'm getting by, I'm fine. When someone asks how you're doing, they present you with an opportunity to dictate your day. And so are you going to say, hey, I'm okay? Because then your body's going to say, you know what? Hey, man, you're just okay.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, no, I'm
that day-to-day rut that people fall into.
Right, exactly. And I'm just getting by, I'm just surviving. And I think that because of, you can look at different points in history of what amazing things and tragedies that people have overcome, that they should be the people saying they're just surviving. And for them to be able to thrive in those environments, countless different, points throughout history, for those people to be able to thrive in those environments, and for you to say, oh, I'm just surviving, I think we need to make the active shift of saying, and this is especially important today, of making the shift of saying, no, I'm thriving because my list of good far outweighs the list of bad, and it will always do that, because you can thank yourself and thank your environment for a laundry list of things: the health, your environment, your son, the love that's around you, everything like that.
Right. Like there's always something to be grateful for, or to use as motivation to move forward, I would guess to say.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and check our Facebook to see if we have any questions. I wish I could put you in my pocket and just like carry you around whenever I need some upbeat, inspirational words, but I'm going to check really quick to see if we have anybody. Let's see.
Awesome.
Alrighty, I'm back. So it looks like we don't have any questions on Facebook, but Ben, I'm going to ask, where can we find your book?
Yes, you can find the book on my website, which is www.s.benfagan.com, and you can also find it on Amazon. The book is called Flipping the Switch: How to Redefine Success to Find True Fulfillment. And an easier way, if you type in Ben Fagan book, it should come up. It's a gray book with a light switch on the cover. So on my website and on Amazon, you can check it out.
Wonderful. And I know when we were kind of talking about having you come and speak to do this webinar, that came because you actually do speaking engagements for the book, correct?
Yes.
Do you have
Yes.
any of those coming up, or kind of right now it's on hold due to COVID, or is there a way that people can get in contact with you if they want to have this kind of like face-to-face interaction?
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And obviously, things are, a little different just because we're doing a lot of things virtually, stuff with COVID. But, I'm always happy to do, events, engagements, stuff like this, as well as when things open up, obviously in person. That's what I think we all enjoy more. But you can contact me at my email, which is s.benfagan, BENFAGAN, @gmail.com. And we can get in contact and make it happen.
Perfect. Wonderful. So we're also going to include Ben's email and his website information and probably the Amazon link, because I know everybody likes to buy from Amazon, in the description on our website and on our YouTube. So if you have any questions for Ben, please feel free to reach out. And we're kind of coming up on that hour mark. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I think that this was so great. I mean, I love your energy. I feel like I've got to go do stuff now. I'm like, I gotta go. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their week.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.